So thanks for coming up against Sean. So I know he's a big pool of people, but good turnout for that session. I'm Jarrett Gibson. I live in the U.S. I'm from Kansas City. First time to Ireland. So thanks for having me over. Glad to be here. I'm an independent consultant. I have a couple different community work: Aviator, Linux Expert, CTP, Nutanix, and I'm the VMware EUC champion from some of the community stuff I do. And we're going to talk about Citrix monitoring, updates, integration, and customization today. So kind of a quick evolution of the Citrix monitoring stack. So, in the past we had Resource Manager, came with Enterprise, we had alerting, some good customization we could do with it. We had lots of, I would say, retention of data. Who all use Resource Manager? A couple people? Okay. So it's a good product. We had lots of stuff at Enterprise, and I have a point here at the end when I'm talking about the data retention, alerting, and so forth. Then we had EdgeSite came along, powerful tool, overwhelming for some. Had things like active application monitoring, load testing, licensing, monitoring, help you kind of pick between if you really need the user device license model or concurrent licensing model. And also we could do the end-to-end monitoring, but for end-to-end we have the agent we had to use for that. Then we had Director, which was a lot more friendlier to use than EdgeSite, but it was kind of a step backwards because it was missing lots of functionality when it first came out. And then we had Director and HDX Insight, which, over the versions of Director, they started bringing more info in, allowed to do backwards the monitoring of 6.5, more and more features, and with HDX Insight, it gives us the capability to do end-to-end without putting an agent on the endpoint, especially on an endpoint that's unmanaged, that we don't control, which is kind of a bad thing to do. So then, once we got past that, they bought a company called Scale Extreme. Now it's lifecycle management, and some people don't know there is some monitoring functionality in that, and I'll talk about that. And then we have OctaBlue, which, who was in here for the last session? So you saw, give me my hands. So you saw the Igmar session, and I'll talk about a couple of things I'm working on, plus some things out there that you can do inside of the stack with OctaBlue, and then we'll kind of talk about, kind of what's next. So we're going to talk about maintaining the environment real quick. So who in here uses Insight services? Good, a lot more people over here use it than over in the US. So that's good. So you guys know it's one of the first things I do when a customer calls with issues. I go into a new environment or just do periodic health checks of things in the environment, just kind of help you get that level set and so forth. So very good tool. We can use it with a lot of the core products here, Zen servers and NetScaler, provisioning services. This was called CloudBridge, but that got renamed, so I changed that. Zen Mobile and Zen Desktop. So we can take those tools and depending on the product, there's different data collection tools to get the information from those products into Insight services. So when we have some of those collection tools, with Zen Desktop, we're going to have Scout, gets installed your controllers. You can download and install it for 6.5. We'll have the PBS data tools, which helps you collect the info, but it's not the best tool to collect the info. Has anyone seen that? It's kind of a pain in the, And hopefully that gets moved over into Scout someday. Server status report, we get that from Zen Server, but with Zen Server 7, there's a new feature that actually integrates better with Insight services. Support bundles and tech support files. Do things from like the Zen Mobile appliances, the SD-WAN, formerly known as CloudBridge appliance. And with Zen Mobile, you can do it directly from the Zen Mobile appliance console in 10. Anyone using Zen Mobile 10? So it's on the back end under the, not the is the gear or the wrench icon in the web GUI. One of the two, which you can get directly to Insight services. Yeah. So for those who use Insight services at all, also known as TAS, you go through here, and this is a bunch of data, older data from last year that I had, some from this year, but when you come to this dashboard right away, you kind of see a high-level overview of things going on in your environment, and so you can see when some of these issues detected, warnings, conversion complete, so you can also convert your Cisco ACE configurations over to NetScaler, using it as well, so I don't know if you guys knew that. So you need kind of conversion from Cisco to NetScaler, that is handy for that also. But once you go in, you can kind of drill down, see the results, kind of get some good information of this, kind of a health check, analysis results here, see the different patches, see comments, feedback, and so forth. For the most part, this is pretty good. There are some issues where a newer provision comes out, like Zen Desktop, like when 76300 came out. It was still telling you to install previous patches and so forth. So you got to kind of pay attention to what it said, look at the comments, that kind of stuff, and then, if you're seeing the same problem, leave feedback. come back again, get your high-level overview, and you can export all this data. So I do like health checks for customers, assessments, so forth. I'll come in here, I'll pull this data, I'll export it to Excel or PDF, and also use that to report this back to customers. And then 7, one thing I like with Zen Server 7 from this, they actually did this inside of the Zen Center console. So you can schedule periodic health checks. And basically this integrates right with Insight services and tells you right from the console, instead of having to manually collect information, then upload the tools, and then get your email and then go read the report. This kind of helps you automate that with Zen Server. So I hope to see some of this more across the board with products to where it's actually built in and you can schedule it. And maybe that's something with we can do with Octoblue, and I'll talk about that later on. It's something that is actually being worked on. Any questions so far? No? So let's talk monitoring. So the different tools to monitoring. So what's new in Director 7.9? This is kind of a mashup of 7.9, 7.8, 7.7. So we have proactive notification alerting. So for Platinum, you can go in here and configure some pre-canned alerting policies and send these out to, to different email accounts. You can even send these to Octoblue to pick up a workflow as well as an email trigger for destination. Canned reports, not really customizable. Hopefully we see custom alerts in here coming, but everything's canned out of the box right now today. SCOM integration, anyone use SCOM? Operations Manager, System Center. So a couple hands. So now we can pull in using the plugin model I'll talk about, where we can actually see our alerts for our SCOM dashboards right inside of Director. So instead of having to go to another console, it's all in one place. And then the plugin model. So has anyone played with this or looked at this at all? So back in 7.7, I think, they come with a plugin model to help you kind of customize the UI of Director, something I've been kind of asking for a couple of years now. And they finally added the ability to where you can write plugins. There's a front-end, back-end model, so you can bring stuff right into the UI. And that's how they brought in the SCOM information. But here, you can also bring in custom reports. So has anyone ever done anything with custom reports via PowerShell or OData or Excel or anything like that? So basically it was a back-end tool that you had to connect directly to the controller's monitoring services API. Well, the plugin that Citrix made released, you can have this right as a tab inside of the dashboard. Go ahead and pick a couple categories, your range, and then make you the OData query right here, and then you can click create the report into an Excel report that you can do. So now you can do custom reports right inside Director. One thing though, when you do this, there's a blog post out there on the blog. Make sure you do the right plugin version for the Director, or for the version of Director you're using, or it helps with issues using the plugin. And then, let me see, session recording. Anybody use that?
We need it because websites.
Yeah, so session recording, I use it as a troubleshooting tool. Often you get that issue where someone's having a problem, you can't reproduce it, and it's playing that back and forth. So I say I'll turn the recording on. When the problem happens, I'll turn it off, go back and play like a DVR session. Very handy, Platinum feature, but it's very handy for that troubleshooting issue, and you can do this right inside Director where you can turn off and on the recording actions. And then Insight services. So this is that end-to-end functionality. So if your Platinum is an apps and desktop and you have Enterprise or Platinum NetScaler, you can use HDX Insight instead of going to the separate console for that. There's a network tab that shows up and you can actually see some of the end-to-end information of that session with HDX Insight. Again, as long as it's coming through the gateway, we can have that information. And then the newest feature here is they have some more enhanced log duration in 7.9. So when you kind of click and drill down, they kind of update some of the look and feel of the charts. And you can click on and get pop-ups and see exactly what's going on, the log duration of the session. So they've enhanced that too in 7.9. Is anybody on 7.9 yet or looked at it? A little bit?
With this sheet, you have some green and red. Is that a difference according to a baseline, or?
Yeah, so there is some baseline stuff built in 7.9 as well. So there's actually some automatic baseline in there, and there's some stuff you can tweak on the back end.
Yeah, okay, so when things start to get red, then it's taking longer than normal.
Yeah, and some of these out of the box are like recommendations from Citrix. So these are the base ones where if you're seeing, something's taking too long, red, green, you can go in there and use more investigation on it. That plugin model too, I talked about. So Nutanix, anybody Nutanix customer here? No? So Nutanix with 7.9, they're doing more integration with the apps and desktop, so they have their own Acropolis hypervisor to where you can provision MCS on their Nutanix hypervisor now. but they have a plugin also for Director, their own plugin for it. So I've been testing this out, and basically what it does is when you go to machine details, at the very bottom, you'll see all this information as far as the performance of that machine from a storage perspective. So you can actually write your own. I was talking to Andrew Wood from Atlantis. Anybody Atlantis customer? So I was talking to him this week about this, of them making one, or be helping to make one for USX to have that to bring it inside of Director as well. So creating Director plugins, if you guys want to create your own, there's a GitHub package out there, so that blog post that talks about making the plugins that I have on the slide, plus there's a space under Citrix GitHub for the sample and going through, and then John McBride has a nice walkthrough of getting started. So using Visual Studio, you can use the free edition. He walks through getting the actual plugins in there and going to the base of creating plugins. So you can bring anything in you want to have that single pane of glass inside of Director. So it's pretty much up to your imagination. That seem interesting to anybody for your environment? No? All right. I think it's great. I've been playing with it, and I'm actually working on a PBS one right now. But anyway, so end-to-end HDX Insight. Anyone use that? And so HDX Insight, I like it just for the fact that we don't have to have that plugin on the client side installed on an endpoint we don't control. So basically, if the traffic is coming through the NetScaler, we can see all the information inside of the session. You know, things like jitter and latency, and a lot of good things on the ICA channels. We can also use geolocation maps to see where our connections are coming from and see information around that. And then, question? Oh, you don't want to know where you're coming from?
I know where I come from. From Buenos Aires. My hotel IP is coming from Buenos Aires. It looks nice.
And then I talked about the traffic has to be coming through the NetScaler to use HDX Insight. So if they're external, it's easy. They're coming through the gateway functionality. If they're internal, you have some options. But the best option was the later one they introduced called lane user mode. And basically what you do is you set up the NetScaler as a SOX proxy. So you go into the ICA file on Storefront, and you put the proxy info that points to the NetScaler, so when we launch the session, that traffic actually goes through that proxy and it collects the data to have that for internal monitoring. One thing to note though about this, be very careful because you can break stuff. So I recommend making a separate Storefront site just for this. That way you don't affect other connection types. So I've had to break when I try to use a single site with having that enabled for internal and external users. But it's a good way for anyone that's on your LAN to have that information for HDX Insight. And then Director integration I talked about before. So we have another tab up here for the network tab. Basically, it's pulling that information in. So if you're a Platinum customer, you can see all the same information you see in HDX Insight inside of a tab in Director and have that single pane of glass for monitoring. And then there's some new features. So has anyone heard of Security Insight in the latest releases? So what Security Insight is basically, it's going to tell you about your threat index, your safety index, your posturing, that kind of stuff, and kind of help you. Basically, it's the app firewall feature. So any kind of public-facing websites you guys have, you can see kind of the security index and things going on there with that, and that's a new feature in later firmware of NetScaler. And so kind of here, you see some more things as far as like different things got blocked, critical, those kind of alerts of things coming into your environment. So again, if you have any kind of public website out there and that you want to make sure that there's no malicious stuff going on, you can see that right from Security Insight on the HDX Insight appliance. And then right here we have some more severity stuff, different categories, what applications. So maybe you're publishing Exchange or link to SharePoint, and you're seeing that the threats, the hits, that kind of stuff. All good information to help remediate that. And then here, just your signatures for your app firewall, you know, different protection levels you have in there, and so forth. So, anybody say that's handy? Yeah? We need some shots like Control does. You guys more lively. And then here, Gateway Insight. Has anyone heard of this feature? So this is a newer feature as well. What this does is it gives you better login information for connections coming through the NetScaler gateway. So you see up here we have different things like our browsers, operating systems, clients, whether it's ICA or client list, and usual login activity. So instead of having to use something else or parse logs, we have all the information of those connections. So any kind of application launch issues, single sign-on issues, authentication, endpoint analysis scans, and so forth. We can see all the information now inside of Gateway Insight. And this was recently announced, it's in beta today, but has anyone heard of the NetScaler Analytics Management System? So this is new. Basically what they're doing is they're taking Command Center, HDX Insight, and some orchestration and putting it all into a single product now. So you're seeing some of the same look and feel that we see inside of the Insight pieces, but it's going to be able to manage all your NetScalers, so VPX, CPX, MPX, SDX, and I should have changed cloud version SD-WAN on this slide too, but the SD-WAN as well. So you can set up things like certificate automation, firmware, backups, multi-site better, because the architecture of Insight today with multi-sites in a single appliance is not that good, and this appears to be fixed in this version. Right now this is in beta, so if you have access to it, I recommend going ahead and downloading it and testing it out because it has some very nice features over what Command Center and Insight has today. So you can see here our appliances, and this is basically appliances across multiple locations. So again, if you have a lot of NetScalers out and dispersed out there, it's very good better on management. Then we have different issues in here, so like recommendations to fix things, user administration systems, there could be kind of guidance to make sure your NetScaler is up to par. And then you see configuration audit too, so any kind of changes that happen in there, you can see that for change management purposes. Like I said, this is a lot better than what Command Center is today. Anyone using this for Command Center at all? What do you think about Command Center?
This is way much better than.
My point right there.
How is it licensed?
It's in data. From the feedback that I've given and some of the feedback that I've gotten, so does everyone know that with Command Center, if you own an instance of Gateway, NetScaler Gateway, NetScaler Standard, Enterprise Platinum, so if you own anything NetScaler, you get Command Center entitlement, right? Does everyone know that? So that was some of the feedback that I gave, and hopefully there'll still be a entitlement version. Now, with included with whatever we buy NetScaler. Now with this, they're adding all that orchestration and analytics and stuff in here, so that may probably be an extra cost. But hopefully, some point of this will be included with your entitlement. So that's the feedback that I've given. Sound good? And then in here, some more information about your certificates, your usage, automation for those, and so forth. So a lot of good information over what Command Center and Insight had. So, one of the biggest gaps they've had in monitoring has been end-to-end. So, directors kind of monitor some of the health of our controllers, a little bit of licensing, a little bit of the hypervisor, and then the actual VDAs. But, we were missing things like provisioning services, storefront, NetScaler, and so forth. So they acquired the technology from Comtrade with these management packs. Now you kind of get the full end-to-end monitoring. Again, you can integrate that inside of Director to bring that inside the same dashboard. Also, too, I talked about mechanics earlier. They have a sound pack as well for their Acropolis, and so you can bring all that together if you're running everything on the Nutanix stack. And so, has anyone looked at these at all or used them in the past? So, if you're a Platinum customer, you're entitled to them. The latest release, they actually rebranded them now, so they're all Citrix branded now instead of being Comtrade branded. So that was updated with the latest 7.9 release. Some things you can do once you have the agents out there and installed. It's going to make a topology diagram, and you can see there's errors and warnings on here. So each of these things that defines, you can drill down and get more information and see what's going on. And then you can do things like Health Explorer, give you some information on what's going on, causes, resolution, that kind of stuff. And then also, alerts, drill down, see what the machine is, get more information. So a lot more useful if you're a SCOM environment. And then things for like performance reports for like capacity planning, and so forth. And then, we can do SLA dashboards if you're like any kind of hosted environment or you have any kind of service level agreements with your users and customers. Any questions on that? So what other monitoring tools are out there that are kind of built in? I talked about Command Center. You can use syslog, SNMP, session recordings to go for troubleshooting. You can do a lot of stuff with PowerShell, performance alerts, RRD tools, and then for XenServer, you can do workload balancing. And you can also, there's some blogs out there about using, if you're XenServer, use workload balancing, some better capacity planning and monitoring of your Xen apps and desktop workloads as well. So anyone XenServer in here? So there's a blog series out there that Rachel, what's your last name?
Barry.
Barry left, yeah. she wrote those out there. There's like a series of those that talk about using that specifically with Synapse and Desktop to get that extra reporting of information. If you need something third party, you can always contact Helga and use Uber Agent. Or there's Control Up or Lookaware here, and a lot of good vendors out there as well. So, troubleshooting the environment, just going to hit this real quick. A lot of tools out there to help troubleshoot. There's that supportability pack that you can download, has a full list of tools out there. There's a CTX article. Have you guys seen that? So that's a good one, but these are a lot of tools I'll use in different environments to help troubleshoot things, make sure things are working properly, and so forth. Any questions or anything so far? No?
Tools are important because we are always blamed to be
Yeah.
slow.
I'll pause for the picture.
Hang on, sorry, on camera. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. And so the help assistant, has anyone seen this? So this is a newer, it's kind of a nice, pretty front end to XDPing. It's good from that aspect, but you have to kind of be in it. There's not really a lot of command line stuff for it. So you actually have to run it manually. You're not really scripting it. But the nice thing is it's all the same checks and information that XDPing does. It's just all inside of a GUI. The only kind of command options you have basically is, help, and then what step you want to start at for troubleshooting. So hopefully they add some more command line stuff so you can do some automating and that kind of stuff with it instead of having to actually run it manually. Like with XDPing, you can script that out and do things based on like triggers and stuff. And then the call home, anybody heard of this feature? So a couple hands. So call home is just kind of, it's been in NetScaler and the appliances for a while. Now it's built into the VDAs and storefront. And so basically it's going to help you get that data up to Insight services. But it's something newer. Start with 7.7, it was manual. 7.8, it was automatic. And then 7.9, it actually, there's an option when you install to actually enable that feature now in 7.9. So basically, it's always running, it's all the service. You can go and edit things with PowerShell. You're going to use your credentials to upload the data, so you can do those periodic uploads to Insight services. So the same information or the same logons that you use to log on to Insight or the download Citrix, you use those credentials through PowerShell, and it's also local data that it also saves. So 7.7, it's a manual method. 7.8, you can schedule it. 7.9, there's some information during the install, and then there's a PowerShell telemetry module that you can go in there and do some custom stuff with it. So here's what some of this stuff looks like. So it's always on tracing data. So JSON file, an example JSON file, crash dumps, all these different things right here. It'll process and include. It's a lot more lightweight and less overhead than CDF traces. So has anyone done CDF traces? So how fun those can be. This is a lot better alternative to CDF traces. Now, right now, this is probably not going to replace CDF traces. It's something they're just putting in, but we'll see what happens as they expand always on tracing and call home. And so kind of what's next? So we talked about those different features. So Directory, HDX Insights, SCA Management Packs, Octobloop, and Lifecycle Management. These are kind of the things that you're going to start using going forward to monitor your environment, and also the NMAP stuff as well, integrated. So what about custom tools? So Andrew Morgan, you saw him present yesterday morning? My days are mixed up. Yesterday morning with Control Up, but he wrote this actual tool here, and what it does is you can download free from his website, and it does things and gives you notifications on the services on your controllers and on your licensing, something that you don't have in record today, or doesn't do anything from that aspect. So basically, it's a service you install, you'll configure it, there's some PowerShell you have to run. You go in here and point to a controller, do some different settings for it, your authentication, point to email and so forth. And then what you'll do is you'll get emails with these health checks when something goes wrong, and give you information. On the hypervisor, it will do it for Zen Server and vSphere, but not Hyper-V because there's no alerts for Hyper-V inside of Director. It's only Zen Server and vSphere. But again, this is a free tool, and so this is something you can go download from his website. And then this one, something I've been looking at, so I'm actually building a Director plugin for PBS. So Andrew Morgan and Remco, they wrote an actual monitoring service for PBS RAM cache. So it's not built in out of the box. So they actually wrote a service. There are some performance metrics there. You can configure it to the registry. Something you can download for free from Remco's site, but it helps you see the actual RAM cache usage with PBS. Something that's, again, not in the product. With 7.9 with the MCS RAM caching, those are there, but the PBS stuff is not there still, so you have to actually use this to get that information. So anyone doing RAM cache? So this will help you tell you the size of that RAM cache and everything right through the perf data. So here's kind of the thing I've been playing with and looking at as far as the monitoring pieces here for the Citrix stack. So we have all the products down here, things like Director, HDX Insights, COM, Touch Recording, and then our Call Home, and then our Gate Blue, and then we have up here in the cloud, we're going to have Insight Services, the control piece for lifecycle management, and then OctaBlue. And then what Gate Blue does is allows you to connect into things on premises through OctaBlue. So like Director, any kind of scripts, ZenMobile, NetScaler, and so forth. That way you don't have to talk to them directly from OctaBlue, post the internet. It goes actually through that Gate Blue that you install and manage on your premises. So what are some things and how does that kind of fit? So think about integration with the core products, and it's also what the Ingvar did, and I'll start talking about some more here after these next couple slides, but monitoring, alerting, auto-scaling, disaster recovery, self-healing, and so forth. Pretty much with lifecycle management, if you can script it, whether it's PowerShell, VB script, Python scripts, whatever, you can actually do that with lifecycle management. With OctaBlue 2, through their Gate Blue, you can run scripts too on-prem, whether it's PowerShell or the same kind of type of scripting also. So, lifecycle management, anybody use this at all? No? Do you guys know all you guys are entitled to it? Do you know that? So, if you're a licensed customer for networks and desktop, you actually have entitlement to lifecycle management. So you can go out there and use the upgrade service, and you can also use the blueprints to do deployments. So there are pre-published blueprints you can use, but at least you have something to help do the installs in those environments that you're setting up. So basically with lifecycle management, you add a resource location, and basically a resource location is like one of your data centers, whatever. You install a connector, and then you can use these different hypervisors or cloud services for it to connect to as a resource location. And then what it does is you create a blueprint. If you actually trade up and get the higher licensed version of it, you can create your own blueprints, or you can use the pre-canned ones that are out there, which you guys have entitlement to today. Once you have the blueprints, it puts an agent on everything it deploys. And so once that's out there, you can do the actual monitoring piece. So in lifecycle management, there's actually a monitoring piece in there where you can do script-based actions and certain things. We're actually doing more to improve this as I've been talking about with their team. So again, once those agents are out there from the deployment, you can actually do monitoring and do certain things. And one of the things they announced at Synergy was, auto scale and so forth. So in here, disaster recovery, automating that, scaling up, scaling down, any kind of operations, monitoring, and so forth. Those kind of things you can do once that agent is out there in your environment and that resource location is set up with lifecycle management. So here's some more information on what the monitoring looks like. So this is some basic stuff here that you can see. You can actually add custom stuff as well, and then do with the custom stuff, do any kind of scripting based on kind of if this then that type thing. So if you see something happen, fire off this script that you guys have written, and again, if you can script it, you can do it. Type functionality. And then smart scaling. So when they first released lifecycle management, Jim Moyle and Andrew Wood, I think it was it last year Orlando or 2 years ago?
I think last year.
Last year? So last year at Orlando, they actually did this with just basic PowerShell and lifecycle management. Well, now there's actually a feature inside of lifecycle management called Smart Scale. And so what it can do, based on rules that you set up, it can auto scale, your deployment, tear it back down, that kind of stuff, move resources around to help kind of manage your environment automatically. And so here's some things with Smart Scale, different savings that you get, especially with power management. So, when you deploy things to the cloud, you're getting charged for what's running. So with this, you can power things down when not in use, and then power them up when you need to, and so forth. So you're not being charged for those always running when they're not being used. And so here's the VDA service they announced. So again, you can use this on-prem, but it's a very nice feature for the cloud, because again, if it's powered on, you're getting charged for it. So basically, it can scale up, scale down your infrastructure, especially based on loads, different metrics and so forth, to help you guys not be able to have to charge when you're not using them. So basically, again, you set up your site, which is a resource location. You configure it for your metrics, so I'll show the metrics in here in a second, and then you can visualize it, and basically you can adjust the metrics configuration. And there's things like some of the power management stuff that you see inside of the desktop, some similar in here. So schedule-based, load-based, some the percent buffer, that kind of stuff, the schedules, that might be, somewhat familiar with power management in desktop. So kind of familiar with that. Today, it's for the server OS desktops though today. It's not for the actual Windows desktops, the VDI desktops yet, but that's coming. So, anybody see this useful in their environment? What's that?
Now I'm trying to see everything.
Oh, sorry.
It would be most useful for cloud-based VMs, wouldn't it? Where you pay per
Yep.
hour, so
Yep.
actually that would save you a lot of money.
Yep, so yeah, if you're doing any kind of thing, any kind of infrastructure, you're bursting the cloud, any kind of labs, or you're doing any temporary stuff in the cloud, this is a perfect use case for it to help with, that cost savings. Because again, you're going to be charged for what's being used. And so here, here's some just overview of the smart scale, what it looks like in your sites. You have different delivery groups, servers on, you can drill down into some more details on what smart scale does. And then on this screen here, we have some of the capacity management, so we can go in here and configure the schedules, do some of the advanced scheduling for the buffer metrics and so forth I talked about, all inside of lifecycle management. So another thing they talked about too, so automated upgrades and updates. So basically, automated patching of Citrix components. So like today we have WSUS and Windows updates for Windows. This is going to be based on the Citrix patches and integrate with Insight services as well. So instead of having to go out there and run Insight services periodically, or go look at the recommended patches, or use that third-party tool that you can download all the patches, this is going to help you manage that in your environments for the Citrix patches. So they're actually solving that issue with lifecycle management. And so OctaBlue, you saw Igmar, so a couple of things. System automation, workspace, different use cases, third-party integration. You saw Igmar's last session where we had like PagerDuty, and those are the products that you could do, basically helping APIs talk to other APIs through OctaBlue. So when you go into OctaBlue, you see all these different pieces in there. These are things, and these are the ones we're building for Citrix. So some of the ones I've been testing out in like Zen Mobile, Storefront, lifecycle management, director, receiver. I haven't done much with the go-to stuff. And I'm waiting on the Insight services one for the API to be released publicly, so you can work with that one. And so, with OctaBlue being hosted, your workflows on the cloud service and everything, how do you connect on-prem? And that's where you have this GateBlue connector. And this GateBlue connector, you can basically install it, on Raspberry Pi, OS X, Linux, or Windows, and it's your gateway from OctaBlue to talk into your infrastructure behind your firewall. So like you can run scripts, talk things like NetScaler or Zen Mobile, those type of things. Here's an example of flow. This one is basically automation of Insight services. I started looking at it, and then I started talking to OctaBlue guys, and I'm like, well, it's not there yet, because they're still trying to get the API publicly available to work with it. But basically what this flow will do is it will periodically run Insight services in your environment, upload the data, and then based on the result of that data, if it's something that's not critical or just information, it'll parse it out and just send you an email. But if it's something critical it finds, like a red or orange alert, it'll then send you an SMS. So that's some stuff to help you kind of be, ahead of the curve, proactive in your environment by having that periodically run Insight services. And then this one, Joe Schomp wrote this one, and what this one does is basically checks against your NetScaler and pull up NetScaler instances, the SSL, and does the SSL Labs report to see what kind of score you get, and then sends you an email based on that score. So it'll automatically check, make sure that you're A+, whatever, and do that report. So another use case right here for helping you kind of be automate stuff and be more proactive on things. Some of the things I'm working on, provisioning services in progress. That one's a fun one for as far as a plugin for Director. Working on some of this other stuff as well. I plan to do for director integration. Octoblue, I have this partially working. So self-source password reset, a feature they brought back, but it's only for 6.5s now. The way I have this one, I'll show you what the actual concept looks like that I have. So I'm still testing, trying to get fully working through the connectors, but they definitely need the infrastructure that Password Manager has. It's going to use your phone or the mobile or different things, and that's why right now it's SMS based, but I'm doing things like verification that, some of the guys I was talking with for better security or the mobile based, and then just do some director also, make it sound those alerts we talked about. So send those to a trigger, and then build a flow based on what's using that trigger as well. So some of the things I'm actually playing with and talking to customers about. And so right here's the console I'm working on for my self-source password reset. So basically the user's going to come in through Storefront or Netscaler Gateway. There's going to be a link there. You're about to forget the password, kind of like you used to see with on the Netscaler Gateway page. They click on that link, and this is a Portio form. And so in Portio, they basically put the information, first name, last name, email address, and phone number, and that kicks off a trigger to Octoblue. Octoblue sends them an SMS and says pretty much, did you request this or not? And based on your reply, it's going to say, okay, no, it's going to send an admin alert. If they say yes, it's going to go through to the Gateway connector, run a PowerShell script, and what the PowerShell is going to do is generate a random password and text into it, or text it to them, and then set their Active Directory account to change the password next logon. So when the next time they log on, they'll use that temporary password and they'll create a new one. So I had that almost working. I was trying to get a demo for this over here, but some issues at home before I left. We had a nice little flood in our basement. But that'll be hopefully done soon, so I can actually show you guys a working demo of that. Seem useful? So another use case that you can do with Octoblue. Almost done. A few more minutes here. So wish list is more integration. So integrate stuff, more products, kind of make Director their single pane of glass for all their products. Licensing changes. What I mean by that, I'll show you some stuff here in the next 2 slides. Additional alerting. So right now there's pre-10 alerts inside of Director. I hope they would do those, customizable alerts. How you build out your own stuff like you could niche site and so forth. Additional metrics, things like GPU, the performance metrics history, that kind of stuff in Director. And then just expand call home to other products as well. As far as licensing changes, and I said in the beginning, with Resource Manager, Edge Site, so these are enterprise-based customers. So if you're enterprise, you have basically, indefinite and customizable retention for Edge Site. You got alerting too. With Director for enterprise, it kind of falls off and falls short, right? So this is the feedback I've been given. Hopefully this gets changed at some point, but enterprise, 30 days, and then give enterprise alerting also to kind of be the same level set that Edge Site and Resource Manager had in the past. And then the other one was Insight changes. So this is what you get with Insight today. So notice if you're Netscaler Gateway, you don't get anything. But the HTTP Insight is actually useful for Gateway customers. If you're standard, you don't get anything, and if you're enterprise, you get 1 hour of data, and platinum, you get unlimited. Well, that's not really useful. So some feedback I've been pushing for to get changed is basically if you're a Gateway customer, get up to 24 hours in real time. If you're standard, 7 days, enterprise 30 days, and platinum unlimited, because that's more helpful in those environments. Hopefully at some point I keep pushing for this and help them vouch for me. I keep pushing for this to get changed, and hopefully it's something they do at some point. Anybody got synergy in here? Yeah, I'm done. Almost done. Anybody got synergy in here? So synergy, the one they did this year is every session is on demand on YouTube pretty much. So in here there's links right here. You can take a picture of this or whatever. But you can actually go watch all the monitoring sessions on YouTube that have synergy. So they have some director stuff, they have some of the SCOM stuff, the Insight stuff, and they talk about the new NAS stuff I talked about early on in the session. So with that, I think I'm done since he's cutting me off. But that was my last slide, so. Any questions? I know it's kind of fast, but I had a short session, so I had to pick up the pace. Any questions? Helpful information?
Yeah.
So yeah.